Great Plains are vast, a place where the mind roams free. In this place, you will find a giant, stretching, reaching, rising to new heights. The power this giant holds is the power of education. The power to make a difference, to transform lives, to create change. Change happens in moments. A sick baby treated by our physicians. A student able to graduate with the help of a scholarship. A crop that is healthier because of our research. As these moments accumulate, they turn into momentum, a force that drives Nebraska forward, and through us, impacts the world. So look up, and what you will see is the University of Nebraska, silhouetted against the endless horizon, striding forward to lead the way.
Thanks to all of you for being here. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here, Chuck. The university does lots and lots of things that really matter. I don't know that we do anything that's more important than to focus on rural Nebraska and rural America. So thank you for your time here today. So delighted that Chuck is in this role. He welcomed many of you. I wish Chuck brought a little more energy and passion to the position. I felt like I needed a nap after just hearing him introduce people. So let's let Chuck know how much we appreciate his good work and leadership of this organization. Thank you, Chuck. So as many of you know, I'm not from Nebraska. Chuck mentioned that. And there are, I think, many differences. Susie, Will, and Caroline and I are bracing for our first winter. That will be quite interesting for us. But there are really lots of similarities. And I'm not just talking about Ronnie, the passion, or Jane, the passion for football on Saturday afternoons. Jane. You know, you guys have kind of a funny accent. But I am talking about the challenges, when I talk about similarities, the challenges that Nebraskans face, or Mississippians face, or Alabamians, or you name the state in this country, the challenges that face rural America are one and the same, whether we're talking about brain drain, or access issues when it comes to technology, or health care, or capital, or an uneven playing field with regard to educational opportunities for our youngest, most vulnerable citizens. A feeling that economic growth is concentrated in urban areas while growth is stagnant in rural places. So while I'm not from here, I am well aware of the great need to put our talents and our resources to work in order to address these kinds of challenges. And given my roots, as Chuck mentioned, this is really a personal matter to me. It's important that we figure this out for our citizens. It's important that we stop plywood from going up. You know, I always measure the health of small town communities when I drive through. When I quickly drive through a small town, I can tell you a little bit about the vibrancy of that community by counting the sheets of plywood that I see boarding up buildings that were once vibrant. So the stakes are incredibly high. And our ability to be successful in lifting up rural communities will impact all of us, no matter where we live. It's important, and as I've heard Chuck say many times, rural matters. The majority of Nebraska's communities are rural. If we want to continue to have a competitive economy where young people have access to good job opportunities, where we have a culture of innovation and entrepreneurship, where citizens have equal accesses to the resources they need to be successful, we need to make sure that our rural communities are vibrant and growing and attractive places for young people to live and to work and to raise a family. And frankly, that's the goal of the Rural Futures Institute. And so about 8 months ago or so, when I was learning about the University of Nebraska and considering whether or not to pursue this great opportunity, Rural Futures is one of the reasons that I came here. We are really a special place in terms of the university. 4 very unique campuses, but also institutes that are doing work that really matter to the world. Whether we're talking about Buffett Early Childhood or NSRI or Rural Future, this work matters. And Rural Futures, as Chuck mentioned earlier, is really one of the big ideas that matter to us both here in Nebraska but across the country. So rural revitalization is important. Again, not just in Nebraska, but not in just Mississippi, but states across the country and around the world, and developing solutions to a challenge that affects our states, but also the world, is exactly what a land grant institution like the University of Nebraska should be doing. And Ronnie is the person that really should talk about this, but the Morrill Act was passed it's more than 150 years old, but its call to a land grant university to do the work that matters for their citizens is as important today, Ronnie, as it was 150 years ago. And I am so pleased that this university gets it and that we've invested in this institute. And so just a quick history lesson. The leadership of the university saw that we did have the expertise to be a global leader in this space. And not only do we have talented faculty and students across our 4 campuses in diverse fields like entrepreneurship, education, agriculture, law, public policy, business, public health, communication, nutrition, I could go on and on and on. But more importantly, we have productive partnerships with institutions around the state. And at the end of the day, the measure of our success will be measured by our ability to hold hands, to share ideas, to steal ideas to one another, and be bold enough to do that in a way that we can really implement them in both rural and urban environments. So in some sense, this really is a living laboratory and an opportunity to make a difference in this world. And so the idea of the Rural Futures Institute was born. We tested our theory that an institute dedicated to rural life and development was something that we should invest in with an inaugural Rural Futures Institute in 2012 and a follow-up conference in 2013. I know that, or I understand that some of you attended one or both of these events, and the feedback that you provided, frankly, has been enormously valued. You helped inform our thinking that an institute like this was worth pursuing, number one. And second, you helped shape our thinking for what this institute might look like. And so you told us a rural future should be broadly based and interdisciplinary in nature, that it should draw on the many resources the university has to offer, that it should be engaged in research and outreach that could be applied to real people in real communities. So a few years later, I'm pleased to tell you that we are fulfilling those objectives. And under Chuck's leadership, we've initiated a grants program that allows faculty and external partners to pursue projects related to rural people and communities, to workforce development, rural leadership, to health and nutrition, to agricultural entrepreneurship, talent recruitment and retention, among many others. We have a serviceship program that has sent University of Nebraska students to rural communities across the state to work with community leaders on meaningful service projects to address real-world problems. And I wish you could have been part of the conversation that Chuck and I had early this morning, where I thought I was going to have to hold him down as he was telling me about the reports that were given yesterday and how excited I wish you could have seen his excitement around this issue. And he said, Hank, I'm telling you, it's working. And for someone who comes from rural America, you know, what a great way to start your day. So Chuck, thanks for sharing that with me. One of the most important successes, I think, is that we are fortunate to have leadership of the university fully behind RFI and united in support of its vision. And so Chuck didn't mention Ronnie. I've mentioned Ronnie Green. Ronnie, stand up for a minute. Ronnie, it would take me the rest of my time to speak here to tell you what his titles are. Suffice it to say, he is busy. If you were here last night, you had the opportunity to see how talented he is at managing two Howards, a conversation with two Howards. What a fantastic way to kick off the event last night. Ronnie is providing great leadership, and I'm so proud that he is in this role. So, ladies and gentlemen, please help me recognize the work that Ronnie's doing. Thanks, Ronnie. So we were lucky to recruit Chuck. He's a Nebraska native. He's back home to lead this institute through its initial stages, and so pleased that he is here. I want to tell you that the Board of Regents understands the importance of this work. We have regents who live in metropolitan areas, urban areas, but also in rural areas, and every regent to a person gets this work. They understand it, they support it. And for me personally, the Rural Future Institutes aligns well with my vision for the University of Nebraska to become a giant in higher ed. And this is when I was to refer to the video that you didn't get to hear the language, but it really talks about being a giant in higher education. And that means lots of things to lots of people, but for the purpose of this conference, it's clear to me that this university needs to be a giant in the rural space. It's important that we deploy our resources in a way that will help rural communities thrive and be successful. And so we are off to a good start, thanks to the hard work and support and engagement of many people in this room. And I'm excited about where we are headed. We've made great progress, but wow, do we have a lot of work to do. And so I'm delighted that you're here. I am so grateful that you would give me this opportunity to share a little bit with you about my passion for the work that you do. I hope that you will take this time, the time over the next couple of days to really learn from one another, to tear down barriers, to think about how we work together to make rural America a better place for our children and our grandchildren to grow up. Thanks so much, and I'll turn the program back over to Chuck.